40 goals and a managerial departure already. The Championship is back with a bang. So here we are rounding up round one of the Championship, starting with one of the two games on Friday night at Ewood Park. Blackburn beating Derby by 4 goals to 2. And this was a result I don't think anyone saw coming. And I don't know if it was Blackburn looking a lot better than we thought they would, or Derby looking perhaps a little worse than we thought they would. I thought Derby were really poor first half, Blackburn were much the better side. And although Derby come out better in the second half and at 1 each did look more likely for a brief spell to get back in front and potentially go on and win the game as soon as Blackburn went back in front, bringing on, of course, Sammy Smodics. The game was just taken away from Derby, and in an effort to get back into the game, Blackburn tore them open time and time again. And I've heard that that Derby were not behind very often last season in League One. They were rarely ever behind in games, and it will be very interesting to see how they adapt to going behind in future Championship games, which will indeed happen more often. And if this is the template to how Derby will react to going behind, then it's not going to go too well for them against better sides than Blackburn. I think that's the point. You know, Blackburn were tipped to be down there, and listen, this could be Blackburn surprising everybody. This could be at a much higher standard than we expected, and they might surprise a few people. But if Derby are getting torn apart and conceding 4 goals to a side that is tipped to be down there fighting for their lives this season, then things are only going to get tougher when they play even better opposition. And on top of that, Derby's only real threats came from set pieces and crosses, with nothing really from open play. So lots of work to do for the Rams. As for Blackburn, couldn't ask for a better start. Preston 0, Sheffield United 2. This ended up being Ryan Lowe's final game, as we discussed earlier on the channel. I did do a video specifically on Ryan Lowe leaving Preston, so check that out if you haven't already. But this was a decent start for Sheffield United. It was what they needed. I wouldn't say they were anything special. You know, XG of 0.95. 3 shots on target to Preston's 2, so there wasn't a golfing class here. And yep, Arblaster's goal was via a massive deflection, and Hamer's goal was basically gifted to him from Freddie Woodman. So Sheffield United will take this. You know, they'll take a 2-0 win. It's exactly what they needed, getting a win away from home first and foremost, and getting off the mark in the Championship. But I'm not 100% convinced by them just yet. As for Preston, who the hell knows what might happen from here, who they might get in, who that manager will be, and where he could take the team from here. So, yeah, lots to look out for both these teams going forward. Cardiff 0, Sunderland 2. A slightly surprising result given the mood around both clubs coming into the season. Cardiff, lots of positivity, lots of optimism. Sunderland, maybe not so much, a bit more uncertainty there. But Sunderland got the job done here and looked very, very good out of possession, which was something I wasn't expecting. 36% possession here. Fantastic XG of 1.69 and looked very, very good on the counter-attack with some of their best attacking players within Jack Clark, Patrick Roberts, Joby Bellingham, of course. So it's a good template for Sunderland going forward. It wasn't what I expected. I didn't expect them to hit the ground running as much as they did under Reggie Labrie, but we'll see if they can keep some of their best players in between now and the end of the window. Jack Clark still being linked with moves to Ipswich, and if that happens, then that will be a ginormous blow for them. But it was a tight game, equal shots on target for both sides. Sunderland carving open the better of the chances and taking them, so a good start for them. As for Cardiff, a little bit disappointing with this result. Hull 1, Bristol City 1. This was a game of late goals. A fantastic goal from Mayulu, Bristol City's new striker. A fantastic touch and finish, but unfortunately for them it was cancelled out by Hull with Estupinian scoring a 91st minute penalty. A fairly equal game between both sides looking at the stats and the possession, and I think it's probably a better result for Hull coming into this season. We all sort of tipped them to be a little bit all over the place in the early stages, and they might not settle until well after deadline day, with Bristol City looking like a much more prepared outfit. So a point on the road is still good for the Robins, although I think Hull City will be the happier out of the two. Leeds 3, Portsmouth 3. This was absolutely bonkers. I couldn't believe it when I heard the scores coming in and around me at the Riverside and hearing that Portsmouth were ahead at one point, then they were ahead again, and then Leeds nearly won it. I mean, this was an unbelievable game, but let me make no mistake, it's an unbelievable point for Portsmouth, and they'll snatch your hand off every day of the week. And they put out a very respectable showing here, returning to the Championship against the title favourites, arguably the toughest place they'll go. ahead of a torrid start to the season against some unbelievable sides. So to get a point, you know what? You can't knock them. It was an unbelievable showing from them and a day I'm sure Pompey fans won't forget. And the limbs in that away end were outstanding. But caveat is, if you played this game 100 times, Leeds would probably win it 99 of them. They created so many opportunities. 22 shots in total, 10 on target, an XG of 3.39. They hit the crossbar 3 times. They missed an absolute sitter at the death to win this game 4-3. I don't think there's much for Leeds fans to be concerned about here. Yes, they conceded 3 goals, of course, but Portsmouth, I think, at half-time had an XG of 0.1 or something, and had scored twice. So, listen, Leeds don't have to worry too much based off of this performance. It is disappointing that they've dropped 2 points to a side who've just come up, and yes, on paper, maybe it looks like a poor result for them, but I think in terms of how they played, how they created, I think there's still more positive signs than not. And for Portsmouth, yeah, look at the stats all you like. They got a point at Ellen Road, which is a brilliant start for them. Boro 1, Swansea 0. Of course, I did a more in-depth review of this game on my very channel, so look out for that if you want to see a more in-depth version of this and my more in-depth review of this game. But for me, Boro weren't at their absolute best here. A narrow win, but it should have been more. We created far more chances than Swansea. 18 shots, Boro 4 on target to Swansea's 5. None on target. Boro should have won this by more, but as I stressed in my Project Boro reviewing show, Boro's defence was the more positive thing for me here. How well we defended, how well we limited Swansea. 2 opportunities despite them dominating possession, especially in the second half. Boro just defended their box superbly well, and we're always going to create chances under Carrick. We're always going to score goals. The one thing that's missing, the one tool that's missing from our armoury, which I think will possibly take us into the potential argument for automatic promotion, is being better at the back. And pre-season and this game shows that Boro are improving massively in defence, and if we keep going forward, keep this consistency at the back, could be the perfect balance for us going forward. Millwall 2, Watford 3. A disappointing result at the Den for Millwall, but I think Watford got away with one slightly here. There was a degree of fortune with a few of their goals. An unbelievable free kick from range. Was the winner offside? We do not know, but Millwall should feel a little bit hard done by here. They created the better chances, had better XG, at least should have came away with a point from this one. So, yeah, it's disappointing for Millwall to lose their opening game at home, and Watford, given all the negativity around the club, will absolutely snatch a hand off for a win here, and maybe they can use this as a springboard going forward, but I would be lying to you if I said I was convinced at all by Tom Cleverley's Watford at this point. The jury's still out for both of these sides going forward, and Watford have edged a very close contest here, and it's 3 points they'll take. Millwall need to get over this one and hopefully get a better result next time out. Oxford 2, Norwich 0. This was not a result I saw coming, and an outstanding return to the Championship for Oxford United. They played really well here. They really put out a very good showing and have gave a lot of people a little bit to think about here, I would say. You know, they're tipped to be the favourites to go down, and that will probably remain the case, but they can thrive off of the underdog. They can thrive off of being the team who are often not favourites in most games, and if they can make the Kazam a bit of a fortress this season, then I think they'll be in luck. Obviously, Harris's goal was helped massively by some woeful defending at the back for Norwich. Brannigan's finish was absolutely brilliant. I think this was more... Well, not more. I've give Oxford more credit than that. It was equally a good performance from Oxford, but a poor one from Norwich. I think at the back, Shane Duffy, Grant Hanley, not a centre-back partnership that inspires me all that much. And going forward, they didn't look all that great. Losing Sarah, we know is going to be a worry. That potentially showed here if Johnny Roy's off. I do worry a bit for Norwich going forward. You know, they had less shots than Oxford, less shots on target, less possession. Not what you want to see from the opening day. And yet, Hofthorpe will need time to bed in and get used to what he wants to do with this Norwich team, granted, but this still wasn't a great showing to start the season for them. As for Oxford, I'm kind of excited to see what they might do from here. QPR 1, West Brom 3. Who says that under a potential embargo, Carlos Corberan will be phased? As he just often does, no matter what happens off the pitch. Carlos Corberán delivers against the odds, and West Brom just rocked up. Josh Maja knocks in a hat-trick, and they come away from QPR with a 3-1 win. And obviously QPR tipped a lot of optimism there. Cifuentes, a very dangerous fixture for West Brom. There's a potential banana skin going to Loftus Road on the opening day, and to dispatch of QPR with a 3-1 win. Exceptional. Peak Carlos Corberán, and why I will not rule him out for getting this West Brom side into the playoffs. He is just so good in these situations. As for QPR, maybe a reality check. You know, they're coming into this season expecting better things, but they look pretty weak going forward, not great in attack, and food for thought for them definitely going forward. The goalkeeper didn't have a great showing here. 3 crosses, 3 goals, lot to think about for QPR, but as for West Brom, write Corberán off at your peril. No matter what goes on at West Brom, this guy keeps delivering. Stoke 1, Coventry 0. Didn't expect this either. Coventry, once again, not getting off to a winning start. And as we've seen and as we've spoke about many times in pre-season, Boro tied at the waist in terms of what we want to do to start the season. We want to have a better start. It could be a big, big benefit and a huge difference for both of us if we can get off the ground running here. Boro did. Coventry didn't, and from what I saw, the first half was incredibly poor from Coventry. They did not get going whatsoever, and Stoke probably got what they deserved, albeit a more equally contested second half. Lewis Baker with a fantastic winner in the 78th minute was the difference here, and you know there wasn't much to split the side statistically, but Coventry with only 1 shot on target in this game, really disappointing return given the attacking players they now have in their squad. Stoke had less possession, yes, but better chances, more shots, better XG than Coventry. No need to panic for Cov, but naturally, and this is what I was worried would happen at Boro, there will now be anxiety around Cov that they're just going to have another slow start, and the pressure will build as the games mount up that they might not get themselves a win. I think luckily they've got Oxford at home in the next game, but as I say, what do you expect from Oxford? Do not underestimate them at all. So a great start for Stoke, brilliant win for them. Coventry will just hope this winless run doesn't last any longer than 1 game. Sheffield Wednesday 4, Plymouth 0. Now this has definitely got to be the biggest talking point of the weekend, because what can you say? Sheffield Wednesday looked absolutely outstanding. They registered a higher XG here than any side in the entirety of the Championship last season, and we're talking about one of the highest standard championships we've ever seen, with Leicester, Ipswich, Leeds at the peak of their powers. No team registered a higher XG than what Sheffield Wednesday did here. 4.68 they registered with 31 shots, 11 on target. Danny Rowe's boys deserve all of the plaudits for this wonderful start, but there are 2 sides to every coin, and we've got to equally praise Sheffield Wednesday, but also critique Plymouth Argyle. Wayne Rooney returning, of course, a lot of talk around him taking on the Plymouth job, a lot of people defending him, saying this could be the best job for him. He could finally get a team going in the right direction, but if he wants to silence any critics or quieten the noise around him, what happened at Birmingham and previous managerial appointments, and that there will be a different narrative here at Plymouth, it couldn't have got off to a worse start. Plymouth were utterly dreadful here. I've never seen a side look so disconnected, so disorganised, so just all over the shop with no plan, no structure, no game plan. And the worst thing was, it didn't change. You know, Sheffield Wednesday were just able to continually do whatever they wanted to Plymouth. It was a battering. It was a bloodbath. It was torrid viewing if you're an Argyle fan. 1 shot on target all game. They looked not even a league below Sheffield Wednesday. They looked in a different world. It was an incredibly concerning display for them, and I don't know what to say really. Sheffield Wednesday looked the real deal, but they can't get too carried away because this was a dismal Plymouth side, and equally, well, can you judge Plymouth off of 1 game? Can you judge Wayne Rooney? Maybe. I guess things can only get better from his point of view, but as a start for him and for Plymouth, major red flags right now. And finally, on Monday night, Luton 1, Burnley 4. What a result for Burnley. Albeit it wasn't a 4-1 game. I think Burnley were incredibly clinical here, but they've scored 4 goals from an XG of 1.18. 4 goals from 6 shots on target. Yeah, they were clinical. Listen, they were absolutely fantastic. And Luton were getting back into this one. I think Luton would be very disappointed with the 2 goals conceded in the first half. Brownhill and Odebert's goals were really poor from a Luton point of view. Just long balls in behind. You know, Luton should not be getting caught out that easily when they're coming up against a team like Burnley, a relegation team, a fellow relegation team who Luton would expect to be competing with this season. 2 goals, very disappointing. And when Chung got one back, I thought Luton could be really getting the momentum in their favour, swinging in their favour, and they'll get back into the game. But yeah, it was taken away from them. Dara O'Shea with a good header to make it 3-1. Vitinho, after an outstanding counter-attack, made it 4-1. I don't think this was a 4-1 game, and I think maybe the scoreline is a little harsh on Luton, who did look better in the second half, but Burnley equally looked very, very good here. Luton with a lot of work to do defensively. Burnley, as you'd expect under Scott Parker, just keeps delivering. They look a real threat for the rest of the division this season. So let me know your thoughts on this round of Championship games. It's been another eventful opening weekend. Burnley and Sheffield Wednesday looking equally as solid and standout, I would say. Oxford as well, looking very, very good. Good results for Portsmouth, of course, but obviously the huge concerns for me are at Preston, given what might happen next and the uncertainty there. Derby as well, the only one of the 9 newly promoted sides in the entirety of the EFL to lose this weekend. And then, of course, Plymouth, which, yeah, if you're a Plymouth fan right now, I'd be so concerned. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, your standout performer of the weekend, as well as the team you are most concerned about. I think I know who that might be. And like this video if you've enjoyed it, and subscribe for much more Championship content. If you've enjoyed what you've seen, then do subscribe for much more going forward throughout the season, and hit the bell too so you never miss a video here on the channel. But until next time, guys, do take care. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.